Hey, 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 what it do? What it do? 414, stand up. Foundational Black America, stand up. It is I. He is I, and I am him. Mr. Kevin Barnes, the host of Outlaw Radio, the militant with a microphone, the mouthpiece of the movement, aka the Negro Whisperer, certified professional life coach, Negro Whisperer. What it do, man? How y'all doing? We haven't been on since Wednesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please share this show. This is a very special show. It's Outlaw Radio live on a Monday evening, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And y'all didn't even peep game. I started on time tonight, Kamar. It was on time. It was on time. So for all the people that complain, hey man, when you gonna start on time? I'm here. And I'm ready to have a good time. I hope you all are ready to be entertained as well as enlightened, because this is a platform for foundational Black Americans. I am fully delineated. So anything you hear us talk about on this show is going to be pertinent or important to Black people. Maybe you don't get it because you're probably not Black. It is what it is. Mr. Carter, unmute your mic. How you doing tonight, my brother, my co-host, man? What's going on with you?
Today, I am grateful. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to Outlaw Radio, where we talk that talk and we definitely walk that walk. Raising vibrations and elevating thought. Y'all better come on in. I'm trying to tell you, I am the Black woman lover, the Black man's brother, the culture teacher, hood healer, the ghetto witch doctor. Hey, mama! There go the CMOS, man! Y'all better to the House of Vitality. You better come. Listen, I need all my OGs to come get one of these real OG shirts. Make it official, family. Pull up to the House of Vitality.
There we go. Support Black business, which is one of the pillars of Outlaw Radio and the People's Network. It's all about us. Solidarity is everything. I like I keep saying every week, every show, I don't have to put a lot of bells and whistles on it. It makes sense. So where you can support Black business, it's just that simple. Now, I have a very special guest tonight, a very esteemed guest. I feel like him coming to our platform gives us a certain level of validity because of who he is and what he does. So I want y'all to really share this show. You have to share this show. This is Milwaukee solidarity, and they say it's a city of silos and we can't get together and we can't do what we need to do. But this is proof that that's not true. My brother, please, first of all, let me say welcome to Outlaw Radio. This is the first time you've been on. We have conversed over the years a couple different times. I'm very happy to have you here. Tell these people who you are and what you do.
Okay, I'm James Causey, editorial writer and columnist for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Also, I'm an on-air personality for Milwaukee PBS Black Nouveau, and I'm also a journalist for USC Annenberg, and I'm a senior fellow out there, so I work with journalists trying to complete their public health projects. A lot of them deal with inequities and things like that between Blacks and Hispanics in this country.
I know I can't expect you to give yourself all the credit that you deserve, but you are one of the only Black men who write for the Journal-Sentinel in Milwaukee. And you have been consistent for a very long time in doing that. So I want to say I appreciate what you do, because I know that's a tedious spot, right? Like that's really high profile. Now, you might not think that, but for a brother like me who can depend on going on there, reading your article consistently, which I do, I'm very appreciative of your contribution to the movement to empower and elevate Black people. Okay, so welcome to the show. I want you to feel comfortable, right?
Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate you saying that. But you know, when it comes to journalism and Black men in journalism across this country and newspapers across this country, we represent a small percentage, and we have to get those numbers up.
That's why I want to give you credit, because it's not every day, and especially you represent in a hetero way. So you're not, I don't feel like you're compromised. I don't feel like, because a lot of times they want us in certain places to act a certain way. And I feel like you're like, nah, we discussed before the show, we have common ground in that we're both children of the Great Migration. So you grew up with that same Southern parenting that I did, in which you got your ass whooped sometimes. You ain't get a spanking, you got to whoop it. Yeah. So I'm and that teaches you lessons. But welcome to the show, my brother. To people who are tuning in, this is Outlaw Radio, Outlaw Live on a Monday evening, which we do Mondays and Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time is usually when I choose to punch in. We go until we go. I'm going to respect my brother's time tonight. I know he's a very busy man. I know he's in demand. And that's one more reason that I'm grateful that he's here with us. So welcome to the show. Y'all share this show. Share this show. There's a phone number attached to our show. And that phone number is 262-202-5131. I said it fast because it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And so, people say it's too small. I can't see it. 262-202-5131. And if you don't want to be heard, like, as far as, calling in, we have a very active chat room. Our chat room gets busy. As case in point, Ruben Anderson, my brother's already in the chat room. He says, good evening, family. How you doing, Ruben? How you doing? Another soldier out here trying to, help us get to where we need to be. So I think the only way to start this out is to even have you tell us how you became a journalist, right? Like, so how do you get into this? Let's talk about you. Let's tell your story.
Well, if you grew up in this city, you probably remember magnet schools. I went to John Marshall High School, which had a journalism and broadcasting specialty. And but before that, I was attending Jackie Robinson Middle School, and at the time they had a essay writing contest on Martin Luther King Jr. And is his dream being realized? Anyway, I wrote an article, and I wrote it like I was interviewing Dr. King, and the article won first place. And after that, the piece ran in the community journal. And I got like a little $50 stipend or something like that for it. And at that time, I went from wanting to be a professional boxer to wanting to be a reporter. And so my teacher at the time, Miss Campbell, she said, "Have you heard of, what school are you going to go to after 8th grade?" And I said, "I probably was going to go to Tech, like a lot of my friends went to Tech." And she said, "You should consider Marshall. They have a journalism specialty there. I think you'll be good at it." Okay. So I went to Marshall for a visit. My cousin already went there, so I sort of had a built-in friend there. And I enrolled in a journalism specialty when everybody else was going into broadcasting because everybody wanted to be a DJ at the time.
Yes. And so my dad made me go to King, right? Because we lived down the street. But I wanted to go to Marshall, but like you said, I had too many cousins and too many friends, and my father was like, "Don't so and so, you ain't going there." Right. And but that broadcasting program, you spoke to it about the DJs. It was a cradle for how many DJs actually became professional DJs in that program.
So many. Wayne CK went there. It would just, the list goes on. They built, it was like, if you attended and went through the broadcasting specialty, we had all the equipment there, practiced their DJing and things like that. It was a fantastic program. And I think it was top notch, may have been top notch in the state. So they were able to connect people to internships.
Yeah.
And over the summer and during the school year. So
yeah. It was just dope. It was dope. And so when we talk about now where our community is in terms of what the schools actually provide for our youngsters, things like that are just not in place anymore. Like North Division had nursing, Custer had, contract, like learning how to, be a mason and an electrician and all these kinds of things. MPS is just not doing that anymore. And
okay. So all right. It seems like we're back. But like I was saying, the journalism specialty program was top notch. And it really gave me an opportunity to really internship at Channel 12, Channel 6, Channel 58. And so I really, and then at the Milwaukee Sentinel and Milwaukee Journal, and that's sort of how I got started.
Okay. And you went to, where'd you go to school at? You got out of Marshall, where'd you go?
When I got out of Marshall, I got accepted into Marquette University, but I had like 6 scholarship offers to go to different schools, Notre Dame, some HBCUs, but I picked Marquette because I wanted to maintain my connection with the Milwaukee Sentinel, which they told me if I go there, once I graduated, I would have a full-time job.
There we go.
Yeah.
Love it. Homegrown, man. Homegrown.
Yeah.
I see Dion in the chat room. He said, "What up, my Outlaw family? How you doing, Dion? Welcome to the show." We got my brother James Causey here from the Journal Sentinel, who has written some articles. I labeled them a doozy because I read I read the paper, right? So I know that there's some editorials that are written from the Caucasian perspective, and I'm always looking for, okay, well, what we got to say about it. So let me, and like we talked before the show about Eugene Kane, and for a long time, Eugene Kane was the prominent voice for the Journal Sentinel, like in terms of our perspective. So I used to love reading Eugene Kane's joints, and then you came along. I was like, okay, you was like the Padawan, the young Jedi coming up. So, if you could say anything about Eugene Kane in relations to your journalistic career, what would you say about him? And rest in peace to Eugene Kane as well.
Yeah, rest in peace to Eugene Kane. Eugene was a unique individual. I mean,
Okay.
he was from the East Coast. So,
Philly, yeah.
yeah, he was from Philadelphia. And we didn't really have much of a relationship at first because I was in the editorial department and he was in news.
Okay.
And we sort of, I wouldn't say we butt heads, but he wasn't very friendly to me.
Okay. Okay.
But Gene was like, he was kind of standoffish to a lot of people. He had to get to know you and understand you.
Uh-huh.
And we had a weird relationship where he would invite me to his parties on his July 4th parties. He would invite me to his parties on the roof and things like that.
Okay.
But we really didn't have much of a relationship until after he retired and his health started to get bad. And he saw how I took care of my parents. My wife and I took care of my parents at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I'll never forget this moment. I was getting a tattoo. I was at a tattoo shop. And I got this phone call from Kane, and he never called me. And he said, "Hey, James," he said, "Man, I need a big favor. You could just say no." I'm like, "What is it, Eugene?" He said, I have to have cataract surgery, and I need somebody to take me to the doctor." And
Wow.
I said, "Say less, I got you." He said, "But you don't even know when it is." I said, "Man, I got you. Just text it to me. I'll take you."
Right.
And I took him, and we started having heart to hearts after that. I started, understanding him, helping to take care of him. And his sister back in Philadelphia, she was worried about him because his health was getting bad. And I told her, "Oh no, I'd check up on him." And so
Okay.
it turned into weekly check-ins and things like that. And unfortunately, the day he passed, I was the one that found him in his apartment. So
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh,
so that was hard for me.
wow. I told you before, I had reached out to him because when I finally established my platform, I'm like, I'm everybody who Black, I'm reaching out. Come on the show. And he just kind of said, Outlaw Radio. Like it's like Chitlin Circuit. Like he just treated me. I was just like, oh my God. Like I wanted to stop reading his whatever he was doing, but I kept reading it. I was just like, man, it's just like, don't ask to meet your heroes. Like you sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. So because I
But
really appreciate
can I
it.
say this though? As a longtime columnist, I understand why Gene was kind of turned off by people. He experienced so much trauma and
Yes.
racism and things like that from readers and people writing letters to him. You don't understand what that could do to you over years and years of being called the N-word and people
Hate
sometimes
mail. Yeah.
yeah, it wears you out. And one thing I noticed when I was in his apartment is like some of the most hateful letters he still saved because and it does something to you. I mean, if you don't have anybody to turn to get that off your chest, it will make you sick.
I totally understood it because once again, when I first started doing this, podcasting wasn't the thing that it is now. Okay. And so it was kind of like, what? Like I'm a real journalist. Like I've written and I'm published. Who young buck out the blue talking about Outlaw Radio? I get it. And I wasn't offended. I was just like, well, you got more work to do. You have to, you got more credibility to try and establish. So when you invite somebody who's accomplished, they'll say, okay. But it is what it is. I don't have any hate in my heart. I still think he was a phenomenal writer and I love his output. I was really loving how he went at Bill Cosby. I was so pissed at Bill Cosby about pound cake. Like, you know what I mean? And he went at him, but then he apologized. And I was kind of like, yo, you don't got to say sorry. We got you. But, but rest in peace to him, man. But
Yes.
yeah, man, that's a cool story to know that you are homegrown, because the truth is, like, even where I'm at career wise, people always say to me, kid, why are you still in Milwaukee? I want you to leave. The job you do, you can make more money somewhere else. Your podcast, if you go somewhere, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I have to be led to do things. I don't jump out there and, I have a family. So I have to consider what the pros and the cons are. So, but honestly, the city has fed me. I was able to raise my kids here. I'm not rich, but I've been able to earn a respectable wage and, do some of the things that my father and my mother, the reason why they moved here is to give me a better chance to get a bachelor's degree, to get a master's degree, to get a PhD. And so that's why I'm like, I ain't no need for me to jump I ain't jumping the shark. I'm not Fonzie. Earl Henning in the chat room, he said, great day, my brothers, chocolate milk, love us. Absolutely, Earl. Welcome to the show. Y'all share the show. Please, please, please. It's Monday evening, Outlaw Radio Live, and we have James Causey here. I don't know. I think Kamar may have had audio issues, but we're good. We're good. Share the show, share the show, share the show, share the show. Now, there's a lot going on right now, okay, in terms of politically. This is a strange time for us as Black men, especially politically, because we have this Trump thing, we have this MAGA thing, we have all these kinds of different perspectives on it. And we've discussed Trump and his presidency in and out. We've discussed partisan politics. We are the party poopers. We poop on both parties because their treatment of us has been egregious, no matter what party you choose. I don't care. So I don't want anybody to try to tell me there's no racist Democrats. And please don't tell me that Republicans ain't racist. It is what it is, right? So when either side violates us, I call it out. But this whole election, the way, and I seen some Black people thinking that they were outside the box. And so they voted against their best interest. Now, I don't know if you are partisan. Do you identify with a political party at all? How do you roll with that?
It depends on the situation. I think I come across as liberal, but I'm more of a moderate liberal. I don't like labels because but if there were a label to be placed on me, I think that would be it. But I think a lot of it comes down to the situation. When it comes down to certain things, I want to bring down the hammer. And then at the same time, I can see sympathy in a lot of things. And I understand the impacts of racism has had on people of color in this country since we were brought over here on slave ships. So, a lot of it comes down to the situation. And I hate to say it like that, but I don't think you could be extremely liberal all the time. I don't think you should be extremely moderate or extremely conservative all the time. I think honestly, the best politicians are the ones who are able to understand that and toe the line and do what's best for the greater good.
Okay.
And that's how I try to come across. I don't know if it's successful all the time, but being a homegrown person from this city who watched my parents come up here with little education and were able to make it. I just know how much times have changed, and I knew what they went through, and to get me to where I am today, and to have the voice to speak out on things that I know are wrong. So when I see racism, I'm gonna call it out all the time.
There we go.
When I see bad things happen, even if it's a liberal doing it, I'm calling it out, because if we don't, then how can we be considered, credible?
Oh my God. And this is what I try to tell people all the time. I reserve the right to make up my mind when I want to. I'm going to do a deep dive. I'm gonna look into. I researched the researcher, so I'm not regurgitating information unless I know that there's some validity to it. So and in your position, that's really a responsibility that a journalist has, depending on their perspective, because we know how. We talk about yellow journalism all the time. We talk about what is the purpose of the media, the mass media? Well, it's to influence. And so sometimes, like right now, we look at most media outlets are corporately owned.
Yes.
And so there's a bottom line. Like, you can't really offend the funders, right? Like, so it's especially as a black man, you walk a thin line because you want to speak to some things, but you have to pick and choose your battles. And when you do speak to it, you better have a total understanding because they're going to call you on the carpet immediately, right? Like, so that's one of the things I appreciate, why I appreciate what you do. But so let's talk about Trump a little bit. Let's talk about, as a black man, with Trump. His first 100 days, I guess he got one of the lowest approval ratings in 70 years. Now, once again, I don't know how much validity these polls actually have because nobody's ever called me, right? And I don't know no brothers who they didn't call. Nobody ever said, "Yeah, man, guess who just called me?" Right? So, but I feel like there's some truth to it. It's a reflection when you talk about 9,000 people protesting downtown, and then I don't know how many people were protesting for the judge. But this is not a partisan thing. This is across party lines, people all over the country. There was 600,000 people. He hadn't even done 100 days yet. 600,000 people took to the streets to say, "Oh, this is all bad." We have a thing on Outlaw Radio where we say, you can tell me whatever you want to in terms of policy and procedure with Trump. Just don't tell me he's not racist. Just don't tell me he's not a white nationalist. His whole cabinet, this is all about white nationalism, but that's my opinion. What do you think about Trump in his first 100 days?
I mean, I believe his first 100 days have been a complete disaster for this country. I mean, the stock market has taken a hit. If you take a look at your 401ks, you can see how they have taken a hit. You can see how he's rolling back everything. Even like as a public health journalist for USC as well, I look at it from all different angles, not just from the angles of like how it impacts, people here. But think about this. This is a story I'm working on right now. Blacks suffer from asthma more than anyone else in any other nationality in this country. Yet Trump is rolling back all these EPA standards that would stop and slow down pollution and things like that. And who does that impact the most? It impacts people of color, blacks and Latinos. So it's like the little things that he's doing and even the big things. So, now he's going after the Civil Rights Act. He's going after the LGBTQ plus community. He's going after immigrants. Anybody could get it if you're not rich and white. And if you don't understand that, you will understand soon, because eventually, if you're poor, which most of us are, and I don't consider myself middle class. I believe middle class is a facade. You're either rich or you're poor, and that's how the people in the Trump administration look at it. They look out for themselves, and that's the super rich. Anybody else could get it. And that means that's higher taxes for us. That's why tariffs are a thing that he doesn't care about, because rich people ain't really impacted by that. We are. We're impacted by all the decisions that he makes and all the executive orders. And if you think that you made the right decision by voting for that monster, then you will find out in the near future how that was a major mistake.
And I always say, a lot of people said, well, I'm voting for Trump because of he's a businessman and he's going to get this. I'm like, yeah, but you're not in the right tax bracket to be voting for Trump, because I like what you said, but I think there's poor, rich, and then wealthy. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Wealthy is a couple billion. Rich can be in Milwaukee, $250,000 a year. I mean, depending on what the cost of living is where you live. So I think there's 3 tiers. But I think the common denominator is that the poor people get no looks whatsoever. But a lot of people voted against their interest. I'm a small business owner and I'm concerned about the economy. Well, then you should have been concerned about him, because I don't know. Tariff is like a word now, like an internet meme. I don't think a lot of people really know what that actually entails, because this is a global economy. This is not the 1950s. We don't have the big 3 in Detroit anymore. It's not, you know what I mean? The Japanese are not scared of us. China's not scared of us. Russia's not, Russia never was, but I'm just saying, globally, our position has changed. And so he's saying, make America great again. My argument is the fact that hundreds and thousands and maybe even millions of people from other countries will risk their life to be here. And those are the people you're going after. So yeah, it's still great. Now you say, well, make America rich again. We still have more billionaires and more millionaires than any country on this planet. As a matter of fact, we got so much money that we can give you, what do we give Ukraine? $229 billion in aid. If we weren't rich, how would we find? There's just people living in tents in America, but we can give somebody else $229 billion. America's always that we're still rich. Now, do we owe some people? Yeah, we owe, there's some bonds that go to, we got some, we borrowed some money, but I just think his whole thing, he made people vote against their interests. And now they're realizing, like, the uptick in Latino votes for Trump was crazy. And he was saying the whole time, he's build the wall, we're getting rid of you. And they voted for him. It was like, wow. So, but what I do say is black people, we still did 85% plus voting democratically. And a lot of us didn't even like Kamala. Me personally, I was anybody but Trump. I would have voted for Morris Day. Like, honestly, I would have, it could have been like, Black Dynamite or somebody. I just wasn't, I didn't care who was running. I would have voted for them over Trump. So that's just how I felt.
Well, if anybody, I did a column on Project 2025 because I actually took the time to go through it all and look at it and read it. And it was all spelled out. So when he says I did exactly what I said I was going to do, well, what he did was outlined by white supremacists in Project 2025, which he disassociated himself from for the longest. But it's pretty much spelled out in the Department of Education. Increased tariffs,
eliminating federal grant money for anything that's similar to equality or diversity. Like that's a whole
anything DEI related was going to be taken off the books. And because in places in states where the Republicans have domination, it was easier for that to get accomplished. States with Democratic strongholds, they're trying to hold on, but these elections they really matter now. If people didn't think their vote matters, well, they will discover very quickly they better keep a stronghold in these places where they got it and try to flip the states that they don't.
Yeah, I felt like because we've discussed Project. So if we go back 3 years and you go back and listen to my show, the discussion about what Project 2025 and the authors of it and how it could impact us was fully discussed, right? Like at one point we talked about it so much, I was like, I don't even want to hear about it no more. And we kept saying, he's telling you what he's going to do. And lo and behold, right? Like, so in the words of my mom, some people didn't believe fat meat was greasy.
Exactly.
And they're learning a very harsh lesson right now in the importance of being not just a voter, but an informed voter. And, with black people, I understand when we start talking about politics, it's easy. The trick that they use is they try to put us asleep because they start talking about things and different levels of government and who's a representative, who's a congressman, who's a senator, and all this kind of stuff. And black people are like, man, I ain't got time for all that. And they just kind of, we was voting today, I forgot. Right. And even Dion, who's a faithful caller here, tells me why he feels like black people shouldn't try to leverage their power as voters. He feels like we shouldn't use our votes as a bargaining chip. And I'm like, what? That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. So
that's all we got right now.
All we got. Well, it's not enough of us. I'm like, do you understand the power of swing votes? Do you understand in some of these swing states, if the minorities, in particular us, go to the polls, we can change an election. We can change it. But you got to get people to kind of understand that. Now, one of the issues is local politics. Now, a couple of years ago, we had this, what was it, the Black 7? Everybody who was black got a job. We felt so good. I personally was so optimistic. Like, okay, black mayor, black police chief, black county executive, black sheriff, Spencer, who's my guy. I love Spencer, first black city attorney, Tierman Spencer. Shout out to him. I hope your health is doing, much better. My brother, who's been on the show a bunch of times, but we end up almost a little bit worse off than we were under Bad News Barrett. And so the first thing I want to ask you about, because we have a black mayor, so a lot of black people think because he's black, we should not be critical of him. $200 million in tax revenue generated, 90% is pre-allocated to pension plans. The rest goes to fire and police. Love the fire department. Respect policemen. 90%. Oh, we got this pension. Okay, well, hire enough lawyers to challenge the law. There's no reason 90% of $200 million should have went to, especially the pension plan is just for Milwaukee employees. I can see if you just made it sweet for everybody and said everybody get a pension. So the fact that our mayor kind of walked us off this ledge, like I feel like he's not been transparent. He said, you know, what was going on with MPS? We did a show when it first got hot. I mean, they asked him about MPS. He was like, well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to call. What was the old superintendent, the brother name? I'm having a brain fart. What was his name? The one who just got dismissed.
I know who you're talking about.
He called him by his first name. Like, I'm gonna have to call Willie and see what's going on. I'm like, you don't know what's going on, but you know him by his first name. Then we found out that there's actually a board that he sits on, which is instrumental in governing MPS's direction. I don't see an economic development plan. I seen today where Master Lock was just sold to an out-of-town developer. Okay. Osiris Erie in South Milwaukee, which my father worked at for 20-something odd years, is about to be apartment buildings. Rexnord is gone. So where's the economic development plan? This is one of my biggest criticisms of him, as well as how many problems do we have with youth crime? Now, I don't want to give you too much. I want to give you a chance to Posley. Thank you, Orlando. Keith Posley. That's what he said. He said, I'm gonna have to call Keith and see what's going on. We was like, hold on. Did he just say he was gonna call Keith? So you know what's going on. So tell me what you think about our mayor, my brother, respectfully.
Oof. It's a loaded question because I understand some of the things that he's doing, but at the same time, and let's not just put the 200 million on him. It was a county executive toting the line right along with him.
Brother DC.
They were going around together saying that if we don't do this, we're gonna lose all these police officers, all these firefighters.
Hold on, did you see the magazine cover with both of them and it said "Faces of Power"? I don't know. I think a lot of black people missed that. I seen it.
Well, they came in and spoke to our editorial department, and we questioned and we tried to drill them on exactly how many officers would be lost, how many firefighters would be lost, and what does this economic cliff look like? And they couldn't give specifics. So I already knew it was going to be a boondoggle anyway. But if they didn't do it, you know, this pension plan is crippling us, and it's going to continue to cripple us, and it doesn't make sense. But that's a whole nother issue.
Can it not be challenged legally though? Can we not get some lawyers? Because I feel like if you get enough lawyers, you can damn near change anything. So should we put a cap on this? Like at this point, it's ridiculous. Like and that's the question.
I don't know. I think they explored that, but I think they realized that this is something that when AMIT put this in place, it was something that was going to stick around for a very, very long time. And it was that backdoor kind of work that we never knew that this was going to turn out like this.
They didn't tell us that. See, they said save us from the fiscal cliff. And they said that the pensions was part of our issue, right? But they didn't say 90. Listen, in one of the poorest cities.
I know, I get it.
$200 million in 1 year, which was more than they thought. They said initially what they say, 180.
Right. 200
million, and the people got none of it. None of it went. Now people gave you fire department and police, but so and shout out to DC Crowley, because DC Crowley is a friend of the show and one of my personal acquaintances, because we worked in social services for a very long time. I've been in social services, education, and workforce development for the greater part of 22, 23 years. So I remember when DC, when he was a young buck, right? And I was doing community organizing with Safe and Sound. This is how far back we go.
Oh, and and don't get me wrong, I like them both as people.
It's the business part of it.
Yeah, but the political part, I mean, let's look at the facts. Milwaukee, compared to other urban cities our size, is among the worst. It may not be the worst, but it's at the bottom in every statistical category when it comes to people that look like me and you. Absolutely. And especially when it comes to our children. And no amount of money that they took is going to change that. And we got a lot of problems here. I worry about our kids. I worry about our kids' future. I worry about our seniors. I worry about the crime. I worry about the reckless driving that's killing people every day. I worry about conflict resolution, which we don't seem to address enough in this city. I worry about MPS is like, I don't know how they're gonna get their mess fixed.
Oh my God!
And
Well, you got to change that 50% truancy rate first of all. That's
you
no matter how
could
much money
change,
you put
you
into
could
the
change,
building.
even if you change that, it's like the economic conditions in this city. Lead isn't just a problem in MPS schools. These kids go home and drink lead water. They live in homes that got lead paint in them. They go to neighborhoods where lead paint is blowing around. I, our kids are, come on.
Shout out to Robert Miranda. We just had Robert Miranda on, who's a friend of the show for many years with FLAC, Fresh Water, Fresh Water for Life Action Coalition. Sorry. He talked about the extensive issues of lead pipe laterals, and rest in peace to Chris Johnson, who used to do Kingfish, who was a tremendous friend of the show. And years ago, these are things that we have been on Outlaw Radio talking about years ago, the cognitive effects of lead poisoning. And so we look at our children and we say, well, what's going on? Well, that's what it is. It's there. The proof is in the pudding. So I'm glad you acknowledged that. Let me go to my chat room, keep them up in par. He said, it's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's Earl Henning. He said, our money is our power. Absolutely. This is Orlando Owens, who is a staunch Republican. I got to put you on blast, Orlando. He said Trump for 2028 last week. And he said, protect the border. We was like, what the hell? Right. Dr. Keith Posley was his name. And our mayor said, I don't know what's going on at MPS. And he said, let me call Keith. Like, what? Wait, you just lied. And even what he did, he said Hackham was doing better. He said from his reports, at the same time, the feds was actually in there already, who said it was Hackham robbed the city and the feds. Who has ever done that? What? And the director was allowed to retire and go to Cancun.
Right. You know what we really need, and I need to write this. The city needs an audit. We need to know how this money is being, and this goes back to Barrett's time. Mayor Tom Barrett, even when he was in office, when I talked to him, I said, when was the last time a city audit was done? He said, oh, James, I don't even remember. It hasn't been done since I've been here. He was in office like 15, 16 years.
Man.
So unless we know how the money is being spent, how are we supposed to know if it's being efficient or not? Every dollar counts. Every single dollar counts.
It's all our money.
It's our money, exactly. And y'all don't know how the money is being spent. That's a problem. We need a city audit done like immediately. I guarantee you, since the audit hasn't been done in like 2 decades, there's going to be some mismanagement. There's going to be some programs that are funded that shouldn't be. It's going to look like a mess. That's probably why it hasn't been done. But we need an audit.
I used to run with, and rest in peace to King Rick. Rick was my guy. I used to run with the Panthers, really tough. And we did a lot of protesting, a lot of grassroots organizing. And the one thing we were asking for then, and I kind of brought this to the table, is I wanted to audit the CDBG money. Mm-hmm. Because there was an admission that some of it had been diverted to downtown construction. And we were told immediately, no, there will be no external audit of CDBG money. And at that time, it might have been $19 million. And the people didn't understand that the community development block grant money was money that was federally allocated to underserved communities. And I said, look around this community. Do you see a $19 million investment? Now, running a city is very complicated economically, right? I'm not an economist, right? I'm not a accountant, right? But common sense is common sense. And like you said, when we have so much money, we were able to generate $200 million in 1 year. By what was it, a 1%, 2% increase, right?
Yep. We
weren't given an opportunity to increase our income so that wouldn't be an issue. This is before Trump. The DEI, when we went to the state to borrow our own money, and they said, y'all got to get rid of DEI and Black history. And Crowley told me the county didn't agree to it. He said, we didn't get that up. The city did. And so, excuse my French, we always ask Mayor Johnson, did you at least pinch the bitch? Did you fight back at all?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
When you think about this, that was the only way that they were going to get the money, and they knew that a lot of things were going to be taken away. They had to know the consequences of taking money, and think about this. It probably wouldn't have been so bad had they taken the money and Kamala would have won, but they took the money, and the worst case scenario happened. They took the money under the leadership under the Trump administration, where we know how he feels about DEI, where we know how he feels about these other issues, and we knew that was going to be taken away. In a city that can't afford to lose anything, especially in a city where we really need to push Black people as hard as we can to achieve all the things that they can, just to make up the issue. And it would have been nice if they would say, okay, can we at least think about raising minimum wage?
Something. Can we let's try?
Can we get something?
Something. Let's give the people an opportunity to make more money. So okay, so let me take this all the way back. I remember I grew up in the 70s. My dad worked at Bucyrus area, and at one point, Milwaukee had the highest standard for Black people, the highest standard of living for Black people in this country,
right?
Because there were jobs.
The New York Times actually came here and did a column on that, did an article on that, saying basically calling Milwaukee's Black community like this is what other cities should strive to be.
Exactly. Now, fast forward, okay. All that's gone. That industrial structure collapsed. And I see Amazon, I see investors we seen what Foxconn did, even though it was bullshit. Excuse my French once again. But I don't see this mayor with any plan. If there is a plan, I want somebody to correct me and say, well, this is what he's trying to do. All I see is him assisting gentrification. Because you don't have a theater in downtown Milwaukee, but you got luxury high rise. Who the hell's living down there? Right. Those gentrifiers who are waiting for you to get rid of the riffraff on the near north side to take back this prime property, which is adjacent to the freeway, which is 10 minutes from the lake, which is 10 minutes from the stadium. The shit they ran off on when open housing was passed. They said, wait a minute, because the Gen Xers, those babies, those kids, those children, those white kids, they don't want to live in the suburbs. They want to be urban. They want to sit out and drink lattes on the sidewalk in downtown Milwaukee and look at the historical buildings, right? But downtown is surrounded by the ghetto. There's a project 5 minutes from a $500 million stadium. I don't see him thinking outside the box. What I look for in a great leader is somebody who's going to say, I'm going to lead and I'm going to represent their best interests. When some murders go down, he didn't put a time stamp on the city. He put it downtown. You got a curfew downtown. I'm like, wait, that's not where the problems are. Mm-hmm. No, you go down there and mess up none of them white folks. But I don't want to juxtapose.
Well, that's exactly why it is. But getting back to having a plan.
Okay.
When I was interviewing, I was one of the MCs when they did the candidates panel when all these people were running for mayor. One of my main questions is, I think I said it exactly like this. You have to have a plan. I said, I don't think anybody on this stage, if you don't have a plan for Century City, you shouldn't be up here. Century City used to employ, at its height, employed over 5,000 people. Just think about the economic impact from all those people going to A.O. Smith, working there and doing something when it was like one of the messiest sites in the city. They cleaned it all up. They spent over $30 million cleaning it up and all this kind of stuff to make it look pretty, but it's really nothing there. So if you don't really have a plan for Century City, which is right in the heart of the urban community,
or Midtown,
but just think, if you could fix Century City, why do you think Capitol Court used to be so popular? Because of A.O. Smith. The workers had disposable income that they could use, that they could go to the mall and shop. They could go to the movie theater. They could go and keep it up. They could go there to buy their groceries, buy suits, do all this kind of stuff. When those 5,000 workers were lost and gone, that's when we seen a downturn in Capitol Court.
When the crack came. That's when the crack came.
Yeah.
When the crack came. Now, let me get the chat room. Shout out to Milltown, Mikey Davis. How you doing, my brother? Welcome to the show. We have James Causey here from the Journal Sentinel. It is Monday evening. It is Outlaw Radio Live. Who else we got in the chat room? We got Vince Tony. How you doing, Vince? He said, James, you absolutely nailed it. Mama Jenkins. Shout out to Mama Jenkins. She said, good evening, Outlaw family. Michael, Mama Jenkins had the most famous quote when they were pitching this fiscal cliff. They said, well, the city's going to go bankrupt. And Mama Jenkins is in the Journal Sentinel and said, well, let's go bankrupt then. Like, it's got to be a better option.
I feel you on that. And I agree. The worst that could have happened, okay, so let's not take the 200 million, but at least we maintain some sense of control. Right?
Well, let's show Madison, because Madison we used to call him Skippy Walker. I don't know who did Scott Walker wrong in Milwaukee. I don't know if some big black dude took his girl or something, but he had a hard on No Diddy for Milwaukee. Like, remember the housing crisis and he just punked Barrett and took the money? Like, Madison owes us an apology. First of all, we are the biggest tax revenue generators. For us to have to go to them on our knees and say, please loan us some money so we can get it straight. And then after all of this, my brother DC came back with the county and said, we still got a $19 million deficit.
But no, let me correct you on that. We didn't say loan us the money. We begged them to allow us to tax our own people so we could get money out of them. It wasn't, they didn't give us the money. We had to tax our own people. So it's like we're being stuck twice.
Oh, that's even worse. It was like they're saying, please let us give you some more money. So we can get a little bit more. Like, what? I'm sorry, my brother. I'm sorry. This stuff I get emotional, man. Mama Jenkins said, thank James, and great article yesterday. So Mama Jenkins is a supporter of you as well. A lot of people listen to Outlaw Radio rock with you. So I'm glad you're here. That's one of the reasons I said, let me reach out to this brother. Ace Cooley said, what it do, Outlaws? How you doing, my brother? Vince Tony said SDC, Housing Authority, and MPS should be investigated, audited, and someone need to pay for all the stolen dollars. Hey, man, you ain't said nothing but a word, because SDC is, oh, my good. See, that's why I said, you said you got an hour. I was like, damn, I'm going to have to bring part 2 with him, because there's so much. Now, Kamar, you haven't said anything. Do you have anything you want to say to this brother? You have any kind of expressions you want to make to him? I got my camera's off, so go ahead, Kamar. I want to give you the flow with my brother. I'll be right back momentarily.
Peace, family. Kev always put me on the spot like that, right? How you doing, James?
I'm doing well.
It's good to see you again. Good to see you again. How's everybody?
We hanging in there, man. We narrowly escaped being caught in a high-speed chase this past weekend, and thank the Lord we were able to avoid that. But yeah, it still got my wife a little shook.
Yeah, I bet, man. That's still all that, you know what I mean? Advertising, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We was just, me and mine, we was just riding today, man, and somebody flying past his baseline over there on 60th and Burleigh, where the lanes birds at.
Yep.
And you know, he want to race and get over there. Like, come on, man. I'm so sick of this traffic mess out here, man. That's something that we probably need to be taking a look at, putting some pressure on some of these people to take a look at, man. I know they doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? You see the different what they call them, bump outs or whatever they call them.
Bump out, roundabouts, curbs.
Yeah, roundabouts and all that type of stuff. Are doing some stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it's probably always gonna feel like it ain't enough, right?
But do you remember these times, though? I remember, man, not too long ago, probably when I was growing up, when I was driving, man, me and my friends would be rolling, we used to take our baseball caps off in the car when we saw
it. Tell me about it.
Now people drive without license plates and smoking weed in the car. It's like,
man, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't even sweat license plates and stuff like that no more.
Exactly.
Remember they used to get a piece of cardboard and write LAF?
Yep.
On the
you were scared to go out, even if you didn't have the sticker. You know, you can have a plate, but if your sticker was expired, you were scared.
Yeah.
None of these people just act like they ain't gonna do nothing to me.
They feel us now. I think it's so many people do it now, they don't even sweat it.
Right. And they know it can turn into a high-speed chase. And that's another thing.
It's a transparency moment, right? You know, I had this van for about 3 years. and it ain't been registered since the first year. I just got it registered again. That's how I know they don't even sweat you.
They don't care.
So, okay, I'm back, y'all. Apologize for that. Sometimes I don't have iHeartRadio studio, so sometimes I gotta move a cord to a cord, right? But no, I wanted to ask my brother while I had him here. Shout out to Erica Hunt. She's in the chat room. She said, "What up, Outlaws?" I didn't mean to cut y'all off. What's up, Erica? So were you guys? I know I kind of jumped in. So y'all good? Everybody's good, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it's all good. We was just talking about the traffic.
So that's another thing. So 10% of the 200 million, which goes to fire and safety. Now we caught the police chief trying to go to Houston on us. He trying to get another job. He wanted out, right? Like, what plan does Milwaukee police have they come up with to curb the driving, the crime? How many 14, 15-year-old murdered over the weekend? And it's just not back in the days. Crime used to be on the low end neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. If you the lower your neighborhood, the lower number was the worse your neighbor. You live on Second and whatever, it's bad. Right. But now it's all out in the hundreds. There's no safe. Nobody's safe.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So 10%, well, they said, well, you got to put the resource officers back in the schools, and there has to be a certain amount of additional police hired. These are the conditions of the agreement, right? And if y'all want this money, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, it's piss poor leadership, right? What's working in Milwaukee? MPS is shitty. Excuse my language. The cops, the police department, shitty. They say we can't even do nothing about this, right? MPS is horrible, right? The economic situation in terms of being able to get a job where you can do what our parents did, which is afford to give us a better chance. My parents didn't have a magic wand. What they did was they said, we're going to make sure that you have certain things, and that's going to increase your ability to rise above. A warm house, a safe neighborhood, sustainable food, security, safety, right? And my parents, with me growing up in MPS, I mess up there at the school, and they on the teacher side. I'm getting my ass whooped. Mm-hmm. In my 6 years as an MPS teacher, I don't know how many parents came in my classroom saying, "Oh, you Mr. Barnes? Yeah, I got to tell you something." I used to have to straighten them quick. Well, first of all, you ain't gonna be telling Mr. Barnes nothing. You want to talk about your child? Let's talk about it. But I'm not gonna take no disrespect at all, because I know how he acts when you ain't around. And so I used to kind of change the dynamic. So MPS, let's talk about MPS, my brother, while I got you here. $252 million referendum that you said, if y'all don't give us this, we gonna have to cut people, and then we gave it to them and they still cut people.
And I wrote a piece before the vote saying we will be a fool to vote for this and accept this, because we had, without an audit in place, why wouldn't we? My thing was like, MPS should be doing an audit before they ask us for anything, because of poor mismanagement from the past and their inability to take care of things and educate our children is one of the things that they haven't done well. So I said the number could be anything. It could be 252.2 million. It could be 500 million. It could be 400 million. It could be 10 million. We had no idea. We just took their word for it. And then we found out later that they were like pissing off money here, not turning in grants, not applying for this, turning in paperwork.
They didn't even do the paperwork from the state to get, how much did they lose? $43 million? Because of
losing Head Start, all this stupidness. And we agreed to that. And most of those Mosley had to go. And that's my frat brother. He had to go though. Okay. But it wasn't just him.
No,
it was somebody had to fall on the sword, and it was him. But one
of my biggest headaches when I was a teacher was going to central office, because it's a bureaucratic black hole, and they will
like that on purpose.
And those people sitting in there making, and I remember even prior to this, they gave, how many was it? There was like 17 people that got raises that pushed them over $100,000 a year.
Right.
So like you said, how can we approach anything about money if we don't do an audit? There's $1.5 billion is their budget.
That's crazy.
That's more than
with 30,000 less students than when I went there.
and probably more a higher percentage of students who can't read.
Right.
Because we went to the same MPS. It worked. When I was growing up, you learn how to read. My mama say you learn your arithmetic when you went to MPS. It's now I see it's why I left teaching. It's why I left MPS. And I remember my wife at the time, and we had just gotten married, and she's just like, man, you take I didn't have no PTO at the end of the year because I just hated going to work that much because it was disgusting. And I taught special education.
Oh, wow.
So I was just like, I can't do this. I refuse to do this to kids. And so I left and I went into social services. But I'm just saying, what's the solution? What do we need to do? Because I think, first of all, we ain't gonna talk about the system and blame the system. I hate when people talk about that white man. White man don't want us to have shit. Who? What white man? Is this the Wizard of Oz? Is this a white man behind a curtain downtown pushing buttons? What is our responsibility? If you are a parent and your kids don't go to school and don't know how to read and can't do math and don't understand science and STEM, part of it's your fault. I know you might have got to work 2 jobs. Well, you got to work harder, baby. It is. My parents, my mother didn't even graduate from high school. Guess who taught me how to read before I went to school? Her.
Yes.
It's your my kids, God, thank you, God, both are in college. My daughter's Divine 9, so I think she's a Zeta. So I think y'all might be kind of connected there, right? Yeah, she's a Zeta. She'll let you know in a minute too. I'm a Zeta. Don't play with me. But because education was a thing. My wife has an MBA. I have a master's. In our house, education wasn't optional. It was a necessity. And I was at the school. You knew who Mr. Barnes was because I show up, call me, Mr. Barnes, Kevin. I'll be there in a minute. So it's us. We need to make sure if they ain't gonna teach Black history in the school because of whatever, you should be teaching your kids Black history at home. What are you talking about with them? What y'all talking about? Like,
well, my parents bought me the ebony black encyclopedias. I don't know if you remember those brown black encyclopedias. We got Jet Ebony magazine. We talked about history. They sent me to the South all the time to spend time with my grandparents, so I got that oral history as well. My grandparents lived about 75 miles north of where Emmett Till was killed. So I understood a lot and learned a lot from my trips back to the South every summer.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think we need to do is MPS shouldn't close. MPS should not close at 3:15. I think if the parents can't read, we need to teach them how to read. I mean, it should be they should have certain sites that are educational institutions where tutors are there and you could just come up there for free and whatever you need, we could teach you. And I think that's how we got to start looking at it, because we have a large population in the entire state too, where they
white
just
people too. There's a lot of white
that's
people
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where they just don't know how to read well.
Well, reading is a lost art because can you read or can you comprehend what you're reading? You see what I'm saying? Like reading comprehension is in my doctoral thesis. What I said was they teach you how to read from 1st to 3rd grade, and from 3rd grade till 12th grade, you have to read to learn. So they're gonna teach you what 2 + 2 is, but once you get to 4th grade, they're gonna say Johnny had 5 apples. Now you got written. Damn, I got to read this shit to understand it.
Right.
So that needs to be put back into place, like
And we have to get to the point where we got to understand we're not competing against the person next door, the person in a seat next to you, the person in Wauwatosa. We're in a global society, so we're competing against kids overseas who are learning 2 and 3 different languages and who are very proficient in not only basic math, but they're proficient in trigonometry, algebra, and things like that. Our kids, that's why I always said, we love to play too much. Sometimes I look at us and I said, we are a very unserious people, because I don't know how many more dance videos I could look at of people doing these dances when we got all these problems on the horizon
And I'm
coming
about
our
to walk
way
out of
and
here.
all our rights being
I'm
taken
about to
away.
walk out of here. I said in the beginning of the year, I said for 2025, no more dance videos. Did I not say that, Kamar? I hate dance videos.
We don't have time to be partying and dancing and laughing and goofing off, because it's about to get very real. And I don't think people, you could dance, you could think you could dance away the problem, but after that dance is done and you're learning a new dance, they're still stripping away all your rights and making it very hard for you to function as a Black person in this country. So you could keep dancing and learning all these latest dance moves and things like that, but that ain't in the big scheme of things. You just dancing your life away and they laughing at us.
Right, we're more entertainment. We're like, so. Well, give me a second. Let me catch my chat room. Vince Tony, shout out to Vince Tony, said the article I attached is on the effect of lead on the brain, causing adverse behaviors. Once again, if you do your research on the cognitive effects, there's impulse control, there's tendency centered around violence, there's there's ADHD, all these kinds of things that once they were apparent in our kids, we relied on a school system that gave us pseudo psychiatrists who gave them pills.
Mm-hmm.
It's no wonder why now kids take pills. Because I was growing up, listen, I'm be honest with you. We drank a little beer, we smoked a little weed, right? We drank a little Hennessy, we smoked a little weed. Nobody was, hey man, I'm taking Adderall. What? Hey man, I'm about to take a couple Vikes. They're comfortable with taking pills because they've been given pills for a very long time.
Right.
They're desensitized to them now. Earl Henning says Milwaukee police have to live back in Milwaukee. That's Skippy Walker, man. Getting rid of the residency requirements. I call him Skippy. You ever seen the top of his head?
Not only police, teachers too. I want teachers to live back here too.
That's a big one. And my brother, you know what I used to laugh at when I taught for MPS and my children were small at the time. They were young. And I would say, where do your kids go to school? And they would say Brookfield. They would say Glendale. They would say Wauwatosa. And I say, yo, kid, you've been teaching for MPS 25 years and your kids don't go to MPS. They would look at me and say, what you think? So
I got an even better story than that. Listen at this. So, I go to a lot of schools and I speak and I talk about careers in journalism and the importance of learning, the importance of the written word and things like that, and how Black people still they could make an impact in media. And this one teacher, she called me to come to her class and speak. And the kids came up to me. Some of the kids came up to me and they knew that they were not being taught what they should have been taught and things like that. But they were happy I was there. Her kid was there too. Her kid didn't even go to that school. Her kid went to a suburban school, but she wanted her kid to hear me. And she had been teaching at MPS for over 2 decades.
Oh, wow.
And I just honestly, if you felt like you teaching at MPS and you don't feel like your kid should be going there, it's like, I don't know, man.
Do what you got to do. So, okay. Behind that narrative, my daughter, who was straight A everything, right? And she went to go to my air, and then she went to King. I went to King. So she wanted to go.
My daughter went to King.
Okay. So she wanted to go there because I went there. So she was like, Dad, I want to go, you know what I mean? I want to go there. My son, by the time he graduated from middle school at Go to My Air, I said to him, there's no way. If you don't go to Rufus King, you're not going to MPS. He went to Milwaukee Lutheran.
There you go.
Simply because I knew I coached varsity football for 13 years. I taught for 6 years. As a matter of fact, every job I had ever had to that point, I was either working in a school in some capacity or working with a school in some capacity. So I knew exactly what was going on in MPS buildings. But yet and still, even though I sent him somewhere else, that tax for MPS is still taken out of whatever income I get.
Right.
This is why I'm concerned about it. Even though they're now both moved on, I'm still like, well, if we're going to pay for it, there needs to be some accountability. Ace Cooley said, who is this brother, Kev? This is my brother, James Causey. My brother, tell these people some of the awards you done won for your journalistic endeavors.
I don't like to get into awards, but
well, he said, who is this brother? Tell him who he is, man.
I mean, I was a Neiman Fellow at Harvard University. I was a USC Fellow at California. I've won just about every journalism award you could think of except the Pulitzer, but
that's coming.
Talk, Black man. Come on.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So
it's okay. It's okay to give yourself some props, man. Nobody do it like you know what I mean. Ain't
but what I like
to see like you give it up for yourself.
I like that, but awards are not. some people look at awards as individual achievements. I look at awards as something that's a team effort, because nobody could win an award by themselves. So, I've been able to achieve all of this because of the success of great teams and great editors, and working for a really good organization that allowed me to do what I do. So
I love your
be
humility.
A great leader. That allows you to be a great leader.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm gonna keep giving you your props. I'm gonna keep giving it to you.
I'm gonna say this.
But
if
you know,
y'all
you gotta be
you
gotta be a super dope leader to run a super dope team. You know,
if y'all want to give me something, give it to me. I'm like Snoop. I like to thank me. I like Snoop.
You know what? One thing I will say as a journalist, though, the minute you get a big head, something can happen to put you right back in your place. So you got to remain humble.
That's true in life in general, though. Like
it is.
Don't get my mama say don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash.
The only thing I want to say this too. Journalism, the pressure on journalists today is enormous, because it's like a profession, almost like medicine, where you can't make a mistake. You could write a 100-inch piece and have one name misspelled, and people will go to that and miss the entire message. That's what I mean. Like, you can't make a mistake, and the written word is so, it's based on everything that you went through. I write the way I write because where I was raised, from my parents, my grandparents, hearing their oral stories, my experiences as a Black man in the city, the racism that I've experienced, the things I've seen in my own neighborhood. I stay on 39th and Capitol, so I'm in the middle of everything. Seeing the things that my father and mother went through, and the things that my cousins have gone through, all of those things have shaped my experiences to make me who I am today. And when you said that you had opportunities to leave, but you didn't leave, the people who often leave, they're chasing something, or maybe running for something, or trying to achieve something that they think they can't get here. So I'm glad that you stayed here and you're doing what you need to do. And that's why I chose to stay.
Yeah, and like you talked about, Attala County, Kosciuszko, Mississippi. I spent some summers down there. My mom would take us to where this big open field, and we would be like, "Well, what is this?" And she would say, "Well, it's trees and grass now. When I was growing up, this was a cotton field."
Yes.
And the road would start right there and go, you couldn't even see the end of it. And I say, "Mama, really?" She said, "What you talking about? We was out here with them sacks on. It was 100 degrees. They didn't give us no water, wasn't no Gatorade. You picked until that white man got his quota." And so it gives you a different understanding of, that's why I'm so in tune with being a foundational Black American, because I think it's important for us to recognize the sacrifices that our forefathers made. Like, I'm a generation removed. My great grandparents were slaves. And those people who suffered in silence and made all the sacrifices, and they don't get any recognition. No, I'm a derivative of them. And so I'm a foundational Black American. Nobody is more American than Black people. And Black people only come from America. There's no such thing as a Black person from England. No, it's an African who lives in England. Black people only come from the United States. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I get it.
And that's why we can't allow our history to be erased or sanitized or changed in any way, shape, or form. And that's what people are missing. And I want them to truly understand. We have to become more informed. We have to become better readers and understand the written language, because they are changing our history right before our eyes. The fact that they don't want to refer to enslaved people as enslaved anymore, calling them workers. The fact that they're saying that people were not beaten and whipped or hung. They're changing our history right before our eyes, and we cannot allow that to happen. Next thing that they're going to probably go after, Black History Month, Juneteenth, things like that, because they don't want us to understand our history. Because the minute that we truly rise up and say we can't take this no more, they want to take all. They don't want us to have the knowledge to be able to have the backbone to say, you did this to us and you owe us.
Right. To admit it would mean that, okay, now we really owe you a check.
Right.
Now we really owe reparations. And so Black people have let some people counter program them into thinking they'll never let us have that. What do you mean?
We give reparations to people all the time.
all the time.
Trump wants to give reparations to the people who stormed the Capitol. He thinks that they should be compensated for being jailed and arrested and things like that for storming the Capitol.
Right.
He wants to give them reparations.
Well,
we can't give reparations.
Let South Africans come over here. The ones who had gotten their lands taken back from, for the black people, for the Africans in South Africa who said, no, we're taking our land back. Trump was like, hey, can we y'all can come over here and we'll provide asylum. And they was like, nah, we good. Who helps South Africa? Do people remember what South Africa really was? And like, it's mind blowing, my brother. That's why I get excited. Earl Henning said they all get a cut of the money, no doubt. And they splitting it up on our back. Vince said 2024 is less than 20% of students at North Division read at grade level. Central office needs to be audited, and there should be a massive downsizing.
Agreed.
I agree with you. Carrie Walker Jones, how you doing, my sister? She said my mother brought encyclopedias too. We used to have to look stuff up, do research, and get anything done. Now they just push buttons. Vince Tony said critical thinking is a lost art in our community. This is my brother Dion. He says we are focused on other BS instead of making a difference. He says we need to start putting up water, non-perishable foods, and other things. Vince Tony is in the chat room. He says great room, great show, great subject matters, and a great guest. I'm super appreciative of this brother, however much time we got with him tonight. Earl Henning said, keep telling the truth, JC. But it's so many different things. And I love the way you put that. Like, it's because the issue has always been, where do you start? Mm-hmm. Right. And so one of the things that frustrated me with grassroots organization is that you get into these rooms and it turns into almost like a speech contest. Like, brothers want to get up and talk and be, I'm Jajiki Mahufa Maguko, and and they want to just want to sound righteous. He wants to be a talking head, and this is a city of silos. So we have not been able to say, hey, let's establish a network and then a plan, which is an agenda, and let's take this piece by piece. Let's start with poverty. I feel like poverty is one of the most important underlying factors of dysfunction in the Black community. Mm-hmm. Because a great percentage of our people are in survival mode. They don't have, and that's just why I shout out to people who say, Kevin, I work 3 jobs and I'm still poor. A lot of that stems to the fact that you don't have an education. But people tell me all the time, man, ain't no way I'm going to school if I got to borrow money. But you'll borrow money to buy a car. You'll get a credit card to put some jewelry on. But you want to invest in yourself and go and get an education, or your children. Like I tell my son, hey, man, you might be in debt, but I'm putting you in a situation where you can get a job that'll help you alleviate that debt. You know what I'm saying? Like, go get you a degree. It's not going to guarantee you anything, but it puts you in a position to at least fight. Did you at least pinch the bitch is what I'm saying. You got to fight back.
And there's plenty of examples in this city of a lot of, Tito Izzard and his wife, the doctor who runs the MLK clinic. He's still paying on his student loans. I went to school with him at Marquette, and he's still paying on, him and his wife are both paying on their student loans. So, but if he had not made that sacrifice, he wouldn't be doing all the great work and saving lives in the inner city today.
There we go. Our priorities are sometimes off. And once again, I'm from the community, so I don't necessarily look down on people, and I try not to talk down to my people when I tell them, hey, you got to do better. Like, I get it. There's so many distractions, but you got to do better. Like, you got child support for your kids and you're bitter with the baby mother because she going buck wild, but that doesn't mean stop being a father to your child. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, name anything that you're going to get that's rewarding. There's a struggle and a process to obtaining it. I haven't been handed anything. I've worked my ass off for everything I have, from the smallest thing. Like, when I go upstairs and look in our cabinet and we got dishes, I'm like, nobody gave us these dishes. Right. We had to buy these dishes. Like, there had to be some sacrifice made. So I just feel like we need to prioritize, but how do we do it? That's always because we want to be solution based. So if I were to ask you on a perfect day, right, what would you think would be something that could turn the tide and get us set on the right path? Where do you think we need to start at? Because I said mine's is economics. Where do you think it should be?
I think we need an entire people's movement, because at the rate things are going, and the rate that the Trump administration is changing things, we need to have almost like a poor people's movement to say this is enough. We're going to stop. And honestly, I think we don't understand the power that we truly have. We make this engine churn. You know, as a member of my union at work, you know, there's always been talk for years. We've been talking about going on strike, maybe as a last resort. But just imagine if we actually did it. We could get higher wages. I haven't received a raise in years because they always talk about, you know, the money being tight. But when you really think about it, if we just said, no, we're not going to, we just all go on strike until we get a raise, I guarantee you we would get one. I guarantee you. Because the same thing happened earlier this year or late last year when they were the people who were bringing in the shipments and stuff. They said that we're just going to go on strike. That strike lasted, 48 hours, and it was solved, and they got their raise and everything, because we don't realize how much true power we really have. And we need to start exercising that power. And I know it will hurt, and I know a lot of us are scared to lose a little bit that we have. But until we're ready to come together as a group and a collective group and say, this is what we're going to do, things are going to keep getting worse. And so I saw that somebody wrote that we should start storing up our food. We've actually started doing that because food prices are going to keep going up, and our goods are going to keep going up. Everything is going to go up except our paychecks. So we're caught in this vicious vortex where gas is high, rent is high, electricity is high, the cost of education is high. Everything that we do is high except our paychecks.
That's right.
And our paychecks are not keeping up. And, you know, we need to just admit that this is not going to work. But, you know, I think a lot of us like to live in this fantasy world. We got to, you know, show on Facebook and all these social media platforms how we bossing and how we got all this cash and how we living large. We need to stop all that foolishness and really get back to the root causes, because if one person is doing good, you probably got over 1,000 doing terrible. So I'm not satisfied until my brothers and sisters are doing well too.
And when we talk about solidarity, I have these 3 S's. One is sovereignty, one is separatism, and one is solidarity. And we know we ain't ready for 2 of them, but one of them is entirely possible, and that being solidarity. Now, one of the great gifts of being raised by Southern parents is I do know how to hunt. I do know how to fish. I do know how to farm. I do know how to grow things. My mom canned every vegetable, every fruit, because we were dealing with Reaganomics. So my mother had a deep freezer and a chest type. And so we weren't going to be hungry. Sidebar, I always tell this story about coming home from school and with this garage full of chickens, and my brother and I are in the garage naming the chickens. We like, we got chickens, we got pets. And my mother came in the garage and murdered every last one of them. Like, how
did she do it? Did she do their necks like this?
That's how
my grandmother used to do it. Grab a chicken.
My God, I said the first time I seen a chicken with no head, and I'm like, Mama, no. And I had one. I said, this is Billy. And she said, let me see Billy. And I gave him to her. She said,
yeah. Try it. I had to kill
traumas, man.
In the South, I had to kill hogs and all that stuff, man. It's the worst. Oh my God.
My dad was a coon hunter. We hunted squirrels, raccoons, deer, ducks. My dad hunted everything. I went to we had coon hunting dogs, and we lived on 17.
Exactly.
So my father bought horses, and we boarded them. I learned how to ride horse. I rode Juneteenth Day, right through the ghetto on a horse. So those Southern parents taught you, hey boy, when things get bad, this how you do it. This how you take
it. We got a lot in common.
I know. I've been saying that for years. Like, this brother sound like, is he taking my stuff? Is he taking my stuff? Well, I respect your time, man. I know your wife is probably home.
She just pulled into the driveway, so I gotta get. She worked 13 hours a day. She's a nurse now.
Gotta be there, man. Happy wife, happy life, man.
And I gotta dote on my wife a little bit. She, you know, when I lost my parents, my wife helped take care of them. She was their primary caregiver for the last six years of their lives. And after they passed, I remember talking to my wife, and you know, she had this time, and I said, "Well, honey, Now it's your time. You need to figure out what you really want to do. And it was the first time in a long time that she had the opportunity to really think about it. And I knew she had been a CNA. And I said, I think you would be a great nurse. And it was always her dream. And she made it a reality, and she became a nurse just in this past year. So
shout out to Black women.
yeah. So
shame on you, Shannon Sharp. Shame on you, Shannon Sharp. But once again,
I just want this to be something for maybe this could help people. So you're never too old to go back to school. You're never too old to realize your dreams. All you have to do is have that support system in place and never give up on yourself. And if you could do that, you can make a lot of changes.
My brother, I respect that, because I was told by my wife, we had 2 young children. I said, I need a master's degree. I got a bachelor's degree, but I'm not getting these jobs. She said, you go get your master's degree. I'm going to hold you down. And she did. And then a couple years later, she said, I'm about to get my MBA. I said, I got you, baby. And so she went and got hers. So you're right, man. That support is everything. And once again, sisters don't get enough credit, just like brothers don't get enough credit. But if you got a real one, you can't lose. We just got to stop looking at Cardi them and looking at the BBLs long enough to appreciate what we have and say, what's real is real and what's fake is fake. So I appreciate you, and shout out to your wife, man. You got to come back, bro. You got to come back.
I'm here anytime you want me, man. So I really enjoyed this, and I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
No problem, man. God bless you and your fam. My parents are both deceased as well. And my wife, we went through a similar thing when my dad was already gone. My mom left, and my wife was kind of like, okay, my time is getting closer. Then the kids got grown, and now it's all about her. I'm bossed. Yeah. I'm bossed around now. Like, I got to bow down to her now. Like, what she wants.
Got something in common.
Yeah.
Losing your parents, you become an orphan, and like I explained to some of my friends are losing their parents and stuff like that, and or about to lose their parents, and they wanted to know what that was like for me, because I was the first to lose both. And the way I explained it to them is like, I lost the 2 most important people who loved and prayed for me like no one else, and I would never have that again.
That's right.
And I'm an only child too, so it really impacted. I saw my parents almost every day, so it was hard. It was hard.
Went through it, man, and we took care. First 6 years of my marriage, we lived upstairs from mom's on 17th and Capitol, and I had to answer her every beck and call. And so my wife was there with me, and so it's 100, man. That's
what we did. I mean, I lived upstairs from my parents, so I saw them like every single day, and my wife was with them all the time. So yeah, it's rough, and you never get over it, but you learn to live with it.
Yeah, man. I unfortunately, rest in peace to my mother-in-law, Dr. Christine Cole in St. Paul. She passed, and it was and I had to be a support for my wife, and it's still in this just happened. So. But I get it, because like you said, I knew when my mom passed that I would never get unconditional love from no other individual ever. And I don't even look for it. I'm like, nah, that ain't your mama. My mama was the one. She was the one who say, I don't care what you do. You still my baby. And so my brother be like, yeah, you was the golden child, but that's a different show. My brother, I'm telling you, I'm going to send you another invite. We're going to check and make sure your schedule is clear, because we still left a lot of money on the table.
Please
in terms of discussion. Oh, absolutely, man. No doubt. I'm getting this Outlaw apparel together again. We got these t-shirts about to start coming out for the summer. I'm gonna make sure you get one. You too, Kamara. I want you sitting there like, what about me? I've been here for 8 years. I can't get a t-shirt. But I'm gonna make sure you get one, man. And man, reach out, man. We'll
extra be large shirt, because I'm getting big. I've been hitting them weights.
Oh, he's swole.
All right, now,
my brother. Good night, man.
All right, be good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Peace.
Shout out to James Causey, man. Dope conversation, man. It's good to know that somebody who's down there in the midst of it still sees things like we see them. Come on, what you get from that conversation? What you get from that interview?
Well, I missed a lot. I was having a lot of difficulties with my computer, but I already know it was a dope conversation. You know what I mean? I know him. I know his wife. I actually done been in the community with his wife. His wife works with Miss Venus.
Okay.
Well, you know what I mean? Well, she really don't work with him. She's with the co-op. So not only is she a nurse, you know what I mean, but she make jewelry and stuff like that too for the community.
That's what's up.
And a few other things too. So you know what I mean? Yeah, but I know I know it was a dope conversation. I know the type of brother he is. You know, I done read some of his pieces. Oh yeah.
So the show will be replayed and spammed and put in clips and put on TikTok. So if y'all missed my brother James Causey here tonight, dope conversation. Shout out to him. Let me get my chat room. Vince is in the chat room. He said the right electives add to the quality of one's education, as does the courses that are taken with the trades. Yeah, you can't just go to school. You need to know what you're supposed to do when you're there. He said, Kev, did you eat Billy too? You talking about goats? Well, we didn't eat. I started eating goats later on. I started eating Jamaican, curry goat. My parents and we didn't do goats.
That's funny. You called him Billy.
I
said Vince funny. You called him Billy.
Right. He said, finish that dissertation, Dr. Kev. Listen, man, it's a whole other, once again, it's a conversation. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. The coursework for that 3 years out of my life, in which it's the most challenged intellectually I've ever been, to survive it, to get through it. And it gave me a whole nother understanding of data and information that I still utilize to this day. Critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, really removing bias and gaining some sort of understanding on hypotheses and this kind of thing. It just gave me so much that I was like, you know what? I'm cool. Like the purpose that I had was I wanted to be smarter, Kamar. And I feel like at the end of them 3 years, I was. And so and then Cardinal Stritch closed down. So Earl Henny said 3XL. I got you, Earl. It's coming, man. This is crazy. Like, shout out to you, Kamar, with your OG, real OG lines.
Glorify, we teach.
Okay. And so you already got that popping. We got a whole new vision for the apparel. Shout out to Take Enterprises, who LLC was going to be a consistent sponsor for the show and going to be providing all our apparel. He said the chicken name was Billy. Okay, so yeah. Well, no, I did eat that Billy. No, did he? No. In that case, Vince, yeah, I forgot I said that. No, yeah, definitely. Billy got fried. All of them got fried, right? And it got to a point where I just knew the chicken legs was bigger. The breast was bigger. Mama would be like, that's them chickens, right? You'd be like, this is good. Because it was natural. And so, yeah, we did eat Billy. Yeah. He said, yeah, I did pick him. I can't remember. I said Billy because I couldn't remember the name I actually gave him. I just knew I picked him up and was holding him. And all of a sudden, the door kicks in, and my mother's standing in the door with a butcher knife, but she's kind of holding it behind her. And she's like, what y'all doing? We like, Mama, with the chickens. We like the chickens. She's like, oh, y'all like these chickens? We're like, yeah. I was like, Mama, this one's Billy, or whatever his name was. She said, let me see him. And then she murdered him. And I was like, oh. So, yeah. In that case, yeah, Billy was a meal. Okay, so we got about 30, 45 minutes left, Kamar. Because there's some things that happened over the weekend, and I felt like they were, pertinent information. I wanted to start off by talking about this brother, Rodney Hinton Jr., whose son, Ryan Hinton, was 18 years old, was murdered by the police. And this individual allegedly, the next day, he went and murdered the officer. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong. He murdered the officer who killed his son. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying that's good, an eye for an eye. About time, how we are when something, because the first thing Black people do is be emotional about things. What do you think about this situation?
Well, first off, I feel bad about anybody dying, you know what I'm saying? But then we look at what goes on in our community. And you know what I'm saying? It's like they keep getting away with shit. Motherfucker get fed up. You know what I'm saying? Eventually somebody gonna swing back. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. The shit the same way. White people the same way. If black cop came killing if black police was killing their kids and shit, they gonna fight back. It's a part of me to understand exactly what this brother is. The look in his eyes, and you know what I mean, and everything. So, you know what I mean? I'm more on the side with him because these people keep doing shit to us. You know what I'm saying? They keep doing shit to us, and that's just cause and effect. I can't say if he was right or if he was wrong. It ain't my, you know what I'm saying, to judge that, but
So
I feel it. Is
the
what I'm
fact that and I'm not trying to be Jason Whitlock, trust me, because I can't stand Jason Whitlock. This 18-year-old young brother allegedly brandished a gun at law enforcement officers, right?
Right.
And I know that there's people who are going to say, Kev, well, white dudes do it all the time. But the way my understanding is set up is that anytime you brandish a firearm and the police are there, the probability of you getting shot shoots through the roof.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to put that there. I just want to put that there. Ewok says it wasn't the cop who killed his son. It was a random officer that he killed. Okay. So it wasn't even the cop who murdered his son. This kind of makes this a little bit different, Kamar. I'm here.
It do. That's why I say I get it both ways. But emotionally, I understand what that brother going through. What he feel. Somewhat. Okay. I never lost a child, but you know what I mean? I can dig it, man.
Kerry Walker Jones says not the officer that killed his son. It was an officer that was directing traffic. As soon as an officer is involved in the shooting, their place don't leave. Thank y'all. I love my Outlaw family because that's what they do for me. When they ain't gonna let me be wrong. Now I did refer last week to the Trump's assault on the Black History Museum in Orlando. Called me the next day and said, "See, Kev, they ain't closing it. They ain't trying to close it. They're just removing exhibits from it." I said, "Well, so," but you know, there was a correction. I said, "I'll correct it on the show," so I have. Either way, you know what I mean. But yeah, in my mind, Kamar, I'm with you. But the sad part is, this spills over because number one, that officer who killed that young brother has to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying on a what you would call a spiritual level. What I don't know what his relationship with God or whatever is. And then the father lost a son, but then he kills another officer who probably has a family, and his life is now ruined. So it's more than just one person passing. This is something. This is ripples in the water, right? And I get the anger. I get the frustration. I really do, because I grew up in Milwaukee. For years, I've seen police do things that they should not be able to get away with. We've talked about their immunity, that they qualified immunity, and we've talked about placing more personal responsibility on these officers. And even the officers that were here from Ohio who murdered the homeless brother in the summer at the convention, they were exonerated today and said their use of force was justified. We've seen the continuous waste of Black life, right? And sometimes with no consequence. That's just the way things have been for us. So you can expect these emotional reactions whenever one of us loses, their life, or, behind the hands of an officer. Mm-hmm. And I get it. And it's visceral, and it's reactionary, and there's a lot of emotion in there. But because you lose somebody, Kamar, I don't want you to go on a murdering spree and start killing people who didn't even have anything to do with it. I guess that's where I'm standing. Like, okay, I get your loss, but you just took somebody else, baby, somebody else, father, uncle, cousin, friend, and he had nothing to do with it.
Right. I probably would have felt better if it had been the one who killed his son. Did it. You know what I'm saying? But it's, you know what I mean? You got that part too, like you said, you brandish your gun to the police, especially a Black person. You know what I mean? You almost know what's finna happen.
Yeah, and me as a father, I would have been grieving so heavily, but the main thing in my mind would have been like, why did he have a gun, and why did he pull it out in front? Like, what did I do wrong? Because I should have had him more gamed up than this. You know what I mean? Like, I should have been. My son right now, one of my biggest issues is my son wants to drive all the time, and I'm like, dude, certain areas are hot. I don't want you even dealing with police. He's like, nah, but I got license and everything. I'm like, I don't want you to deal with them. I don't want you to have to be, because he's not up on that. He doesn't know, like, if I just say the wrong thing to the wrong cop, it could cost me my life. He doesn't understand that yet. And so I said, let me get a little bit more time to get him gamed up on it. But yeah, it's a crazy situation. Let me see. Dion said, I don't care about no one that is not our color. I wish I could be like that, but I mean, I can't, honestly. And as much as I love black people, I love people, period. Like, I don't want to see anybody lose their life. The loss of life is always tragic to me, Kamar. Like, even if I got an enemy and I got to go kill him, I'm still going to feel bad. Like, damn, I had to go kill this dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, death is final. Death is not, it's not something you have the right to take from someone. You know, we have the ability to semi-create life through reproduction, but that's a blessing. You don't have the right to take somebody's life. You know, what's the term? Only God can judge me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things. It's a conundrum, as they say. He said, Dion said he doesn't believe he had a gun. And he said, I don't believe anything these devils say.
Hey, look, now something that did sound funny to me, right?
Okay.
The one officer was talking about the footage. She saw it, the officer.
Okay.
She was saying how he was running, so the camera was jolting, and you couldn't get a clear view of what he was doing, right? If this motherfucker running from you, how can you? You know what I mean? Like, and then the officer said he stopped when he came between the garbage cans. He stopped and pointed the gun. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? You will see that even if you running, and you will see that on the camera.
Right. The truth will come out.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I feel like you will see that. But I'm going to tell you, man, I really hate, that's one of the things that I hate about this AI shit. Because we don't know what the fuck they make doctor.
We don't know what we seeing.
In any situation.
We don't know what we seeing. We don't know what we seeing. You can't trust it.
You know what I mean? Let's be honest.
You can't trust.
You can't trust it. Public Enemy said it a long time ago. You can't trust it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Dion says white people are not our friends, and we need to get that in our head. Well, you know, just because you're not my friend, I don't feel like your life is disposable. You know what I'm saying? Like,
just because you ain't got no white friends don't mean we can't have none. Nigga, I got a couple white friends. They harmful or mean any harm to me or nobody around me.
I don't hate white people. I just love black people. Is that the best way to say it? I don't have to have any kind of hate for me to have love. Like, I can love black people without hating other people. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to say, fuck all these honkies. I don't have to say that. All I got to say is, man, I love us. And I want us to succeed. And once again, I'm not racist, but I am a little prejudiced.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Dion banning us from having white friends.
Right. They ain't your friends. Wake up, nigga. Ace Cooley said, Kev, these people have declared war. That's the only language. He didn't pull a gun. He had a gun on him, and it's an open carry state. His father knows his son is not going to get any justice. Yes, death is a final yet, but they are willing to kill us. I'm sorry. Sometimes we need to speak their language. In my particular case, if my son loses his life and I crash out, I've totally disregarded my daughter's need for me to be here and be a steady support for her, because her and my wife are going to need me to be a rock, because they're going to go through it. And as the man in this family, I can't just and lead him out here, because that's more ripples. See what I'm saying? I have to say, okay, the buck stops here. We're going to hold tight as a family. We're going to figure out how to get through this. And I'm not going to do nothing stupid that's going to take me away from y'all, because if I go away, then we're both gone. Me and my son. Family's fractured, right? He said he was shit in the back. I think he means he was shot in the back. Okay, thank you. If anybody has anything in terms of clarity on this, I welcome that. I'm not above being corrected. If I said anything inaccurate, I only spoke on what the initial kind of story was. I haven't done a deep dive into it, so I welcome any and all information. I mean, because like I said, we have to You have to wait for all the facts to come out. And I know black people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Hold on. Right? Hold on. Let's figure this out. Now, did you see this Becky in Minnesota? I believe it was Rochester, Minnesota. I guess there's a young black child who's autistic on the playground. She's out there with her baby. The child took some from her child. She goes in to call him a nigger, and you little dirty nigger, and you nigger. And so I guess there's a Hispanic individual who's there with a camera like, yo, you really calling this little kid a nigger like that? Like, and she goes in on it. He is a nigger. And he said, why are you say? She said, nigger. Now, because of this, because it went viral, right? White people have gotten together with their GoFundMe and raised $434,000 for her, so that she can relocate and be safe. And there were people, some of the comments were so proud of you. You stood up. You're a hero. And this is the kind of white xenophobia that I talked about when Trump is in office. White people feel engorged and empowered to do this kind of shit. And to be, you just basically verbally assaulted a young child. Now, but you all are supposed to be representing political correctness and all this kind of stuff. This is a child. This is a defenseless child. And if he was on the autism spectrum, it's even worse. So why would she get $434,000? It shows you the energy that white nationalism brings and the entitlement that racist white people feel when they see their boy in charge. So all you black people say, what did Trump done to you? He has created this kind of mentality. He is directly
before. Hey kid, I think instead of getting mad at it, we need to learn from it.
Okay.
Because all races take care of their young.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? We don't. So we get mad when we see it.
Right. But the flip side is so say this is a black girl.
I'm with you. I'm in total agreement with you. I'm just, I'm just saying.
What we want. Will we do that though? If a sister was in hot water, will we say, let's give her some money so she can get out of this white town? Because if she went hunky, they'd be at her ass.
That's what I'm saying. We don't kick it like that. We don't take care of our own like that.
Okay.
So we get mad when we see other people doing it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? We need to learn from it, is what I'm saying, instead of getting mad at it. We need to be learning from this shit. You know what I'm saying? But get mad because these motherfuckers taking care of their own. Like, we need to be expecting them to take care of their own.
Yeah, and to support. Yeah, I get that. Orlando said they were already racist. He said not Trump. But look, he said it's not Trump's fault. Orlando, this is what I mean by you cape for the white man. You have to come and defend white man. We're talking about this from a realistic perspective. You still got to come in and say it's not Trump's fault. They was already you cape for the white man. Let me give you this. Stop it. I told you the other day when we were on the phone. You are Captain Save a Joe. Right? You are. Somebody just hit my line. Who is this? Hit me back, y'all. I'm sorry I wasn't looking at the phone. Me and Kamar was chopping it up. Let me go. Let me see. Ace Cooley said this raggedy bitch shows you that they're at war with us. They concealed Carmelo Anthony GoFundMe. They canceled his GoFundMe. Sometimes people need to visit the Slapahoe tribe. Hey, as long as you're willing to make the sacrifice, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be the one, do it. Like, what there's nothing else. There's nothing else to it. Like, I know one thing. They don't bother me like that. So what I just have done is just grabbed a little black kid and said, hey man, you safe over here. She ain't gonna do nothing to you. She could have said what she wanted. I would have been like, yo, get your ass up out of here. I probably would have just started ribbing her, Kamar, until she left on her own. She'd have been crying when I got done talking about her. What my sister Jasmine Crockett say? Bad built, big back, butch body. Orlando, what do you want, man? What do you want? Please don't call in here caping for the white man. What you want? Hold on, Orlando. Hold on. Let me make sure my Bluetooth ain't Bluetoothing right now. I thought I had this connected. Let me Make sure.
She hit Trump. She hit Trump with the 5 Ds. I don't remember exactly what all she called him. Delusional, dumb. I don't know, all kind of crazy. She hit him with a good one though.
Okay. Let me get my Bluetooth together because I thought it was on, but it wasn't. I reset my phone. Yeah. Once again, I think we got bigger fish to fry than to always get get so up in arms about things that maybe perhaps don't matter. I'm not saying that this don't matter, but the kid wasn't assaulted. He wasn't harmed. And it's just words. But the fact that somebody is that callous and that cruel is crazy. Hold on. Let me get my settings.
Hey, his parents should have made that white lady crash out so they could beat her ass.
Something. Where was his parents? Where was his parents?
Right, that.
Where were they? Now, once again, I don't know if this kid was in some kind of program or whatever. He or she was at the park, and I don't know this Latino individual, was he in charge of making sure this kid was safe, and maybe that's why he jumped in and kind of took control of the situation. I don't know. I just know the money was raised, and I watched the video of her, and I was just like, okay. Now, Orlando, I got you now, man. What do you want? What you want, man?
Oh, I was going to say first, great interview with James. I think he's a decent, fair reporter. Don't always agree with him, which is fine. But I do like, a lot of his work. I've met him many times, and even did a show with Black Nouveau. So good dude.
Can you hear him, Kamar? Okay, go ahead, Orlando.
So just to set off of that, my thing is this, man. I think you have races in the world, just like you have just ugly people. Period. I don't think those individuals need any motivation to be who they are, and that's my thing. Kind of, with the situation. I believe that woman is a racist. And it didn't need Trump to bring her out to be a racist, bro. I just think, you just said to have a conversation with Dion, and Kamar chimed in, like, Dion, like, you kind of off here. Yeah, I hate all white people. Like, did Dion really need to hear, the Minister Farrakhan say that the white people are devils for him to be the asshole he is? No, Dion's an asshole and a bigot. So
okay. Leave the minister out of it though, because that's not his doctrine. That didn't come straight from Farrakhan, but Minister Farrakhan.
Well, let me just say, black nationalists, like all black people, all white, all the devil.
That's not true, because I'm a black nationalist, and I don't believe all white people are the devil. So once again,
okay,
black nationalism,
whoever
you're making it wrong to be a black nationalist. That's not accurate. Go ahead.
Okay, and well, whoever would have found that anything other than yourself is lesser than you and inferior. If that's your thinking, then does that person really need somebody to be in office?
Well, I don't think you can argue with the fact that Trump brings a certain white nationalist energy, and it has mobilized and it has polarized white racist people. That's why we had January 6th. They attempted to take over the Capitol. Like, white people ain't never been that Brody. Trump creates, he energizes white nationalism. I don't know why that's something you would disagree with. How can you even argue with that?
Yeah, I think idiots will be idiots no matter what.
Yeah, but an idiot with a support system is a little bit more brave and a little bit more aggressive.
Well, again, I think we've had idiots with support systems forever. That's when we got the Klan. That's how we got, anybody say kill all whiteys. We've always had that type of weird thinking like that. Kill all Jews, kill all Indians, kill all Mexicans.
But you putting but you're putting something on black people that we didn't do, because we're not anti-Semitic.
What I'm saying, anyone. I didn't say black people.
Okay.
Anyone.
I only want to talk about black people. I don't want to talk about nobody else.
Kill all Jews, kill all women, kill all men, kill all babies. Whoever would say something like that, it's a weird individual. As the clip goes around,
that's true. You know what, Orlando? I actually don't disagree with you on that. If there's a person who says something as callous as that, like some people who may be aligned with the nation, who may say, all white people are devils and there's no retribution or redemption for them or for their souls, I would say, well, I don't agree with that. I would say that's not, if somebody says, hey man, I don't care if the white babies got killed, I say that's wrong, brother. Them babies ain't had nothing to do with it, right? Like, so let me catch the chat room. So I agree with you on that. I'm not gonna shoot you full of holes on that one, but you don't need to cape for the white man. But A says this raggedy bitch shows you that they're okay. So I already read that. This is Carrie Walker Jones. She says she's lying on her GoFundMe saying the 5-year-old has a record. Damn, he has a record. He's 5. What the hell? A says, I got a better question, Kev. What would it take to make you go to war? Come for my family. Come for my family. Do something but I'm saying, come for my family. Kamar, I believe we both could understand why this brother was so infuriated, correct? I'd be upset, but once again, I had to weigh it out and say, but I still have a daughter. I still have another child. I still have a wife.
You know what? I think honestly, we can't say what we'd do.
You can't.
Because it's a part of us. It's a part of us that'll spaz out just like he did.
Right.
We weren't critical of him. We don't know what the fuck we'd do, man. Take my motherfucking son from me. I don't know.
And you really
That's
don't.
why I say, you know what I mean? I could see it, but I understand it both ways. You know what I mean? Well, a lot of different ways I understand it. But I also understand it emotionally on how that brother feel about losing his son to these people.
Even when you're that emotional or that upset, I feel like you have to take the time to figure out. Like you can't. Kamar, I've heard you talk about this.
It ain't no excuse because they ain't gonna let you get it.
One of the main reasons you can't make a decision when you're angry is because you have less oxygen in your brain.
That's right.
Your brain is not functioning at full capacity. So you gotta say, that's why people say step back and take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And so it'd be easy for me to load it up and say I'm killing any cop I see. But once I talk to my daughter, once I talk to my wife, once I talk to my brother, his cousins, and they say, don't do nothing crazy, like, because we need you.
When you get upset, you breathe different. You start breathing wrong. You take short, quick breaths. You ain't breathing through your nose. You know what I'm saying? So your brain ain't getting the oxygen that it's supposed to get. You ain't breathing through your nose. When your brain ain't getting the oxygen it's supposed to get, your IQ go down. That's when you do dumb shit when you get upset.
And then hormonally, when you start secreting, right? When it's fight or flight, and you like it's go time, and all that adrenaline shoot out. Hey, ain't no telling. That's why people are often, and I'm sure this dad, he's gonna have a time to sit down and think about this. Like, I just killed an individual who didn't have anything to do with this. That when he starts breathing, Kamar, when his brain settles in,
if he let himself do it.
Or he'll be consumed by it.
Because he may continue to tell himself they took my motherfucking son.
So it's whatever.
You know what I mean? Your brain's so cold that, you know what I mean, it'll override all that shit and keep talking to yourself like that.
I think if he's sitting in court and this individual's family comes in there and says, okay, we understand you lost, but you just took. What if I don't know if this officer had kids, and I'm not caping for him. I'm just saying, let's be intelligent, emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature. If I got to sit there and listen to his son say, my dad was my hero. He was everything to me. I don't know how I'm going to move on. Even as an angry person, I'm going to sit there and say, damn, I just basically did to that kid what that officer did to me. So now we both got a hole in our soul. He said everybody has a breaking point. Absolutely. Ain't no denying that. I ain't on here preaching pacifism. I'm just saying a lot of times we got to think before we act. Now, if you think about it and you say this still what the fuck I want to do, hey, man, God bless your soul, right? Carrie Walker says she was mad at black people because she got dumped by a black man. Okay, was she a salami smuggler like that? I didn't know if she was, dipping on the sausage. I don't know. I don't know enough about her. She said the racist is mentally ill and usually the lowest of the white community. Okay. Carrie Walker Jones said if there was a black mother out there, that would not have ended well for her. Yeah. And that sister would probably be locked away and away from her child. See, once again, Mama, why did you spend the first 9 years of my life in prison? Because somebody called you a nigger at a park and I beat her ass and they gave you 8 years for assault. But you took yourself away I get it, Mama, but Who suffers in the end? The child. Now, did y'all see this too? Because we don't, I'm gonna try to get out of here on time tonight. Because I feel like we just had that conversation with James Causey was so incredible. It's enough there for the first hour and a half of the show. When y'all hear this back, y'all gonna be like, oh shit. T-Pain with Wisconsin State Fear wants to come do an event, bring rappers, bring carnival rides on the Midway at the Milwaukee Mile, which is located in West Dallas, adjacent almost to State Fair Park. They gave him the shiv. Basically, they canceled his event, said we ain't fucking with you. And their reasoning behind it was all the things you're trying to do by you being a rapper and bringing rappers and bringing carnival rides, gangs are going to come. It's going to be mayhem and bedlam, right? First of all, let me say, for you to sign a contract with someone and make them guarantees and you don't follow through with that makes you be an organization that lacks integrity. And I heard T-Pain's viral video, and State Fair tried to come out and issue an apology or an explanation, not an apology. But here's the thing. I don't think T-Pain really knows Milwaukee. I don't think he understands what they were trying to say to him. Because this, as a black man, I remember events at State Fair Park when our children, our young people, went out there and showed their ass. Summerfest, hold on. Summerfest showed their ass. Why is it like that at Mayfair Mall?
Fucking Juneteenth.
Showed
their ass.
Showed their ass. So I get what they were saying. Afro, well, that's been gone so long. I don't know, but yeah,
late every year.
Capitol Court, Grand Avenue, North Ridge Theater, playground. We have playgrounds.
How many clubs?
With the bad water, can you?
Hold on. Go ahead, Kamar.
No, I was just throwing some more in there. I said, how many clubs? Okay.
So now, what I like is
how many years? My bad.
This is you're right. This is what we know. The Palace. Come on, man. I grew up going to the Palace, a skating rink on Capitol Drive. Why is it closed? Right? Now, I said all that to say this. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay. Now, what I like about T-Pain, he did say, I offer to hire 100 security guards, professional armed security guards. And they still was like, no, we ain't even going to go. We ain't even talking about it. This will not happen. Right. And I said, well, if he takes that much accountability, and I thought what else was poignant that he said to the police, okay, well, if y'all know this is going to happen, why don't y'all be proactive? And they said, well, we're going to be a little bit busy with State Fair.
Right.
And so I just don't think he understands the dynamic of Milwaukee. So is this unfair? Is this unjust? Is this racist? I said, I can't grab it. It's all of that.
It's all of that.
Okay. But it's I
think it's some unfairness in there. It's some injustice in there. It's some, you know what I mean? There's some shit that's real in there. Like, we know that they gonna act a goddamn fool for if you know what I'm saying. There, we know it already. You know what I'm saying? Remember, there was a State Fair and beat Mayor Barrett ass.
Exactly, but that was a Native American, right?
So
with
what?
mental health issues. Yep, but I mean, it happened.
So what? It happened. You know what I mean?
You get their ass whooped in Milwaukee. That's known to happen, right? Like you get your ass whooped if it ain't enough security. Look at what just happened at the club. It's just Bar 107.
Yeah.
But look what just happened at the strip club with the brother who's the bodyguard. I mean, the bouncer.
Yeah.
It goes down in this city. Y'all go listen. It goes down. Ace is in the chat room. He said, didn't something just happen in Milwaukee? I was just half-assed listening to Homer Blow, fussing about something that happened. Yeah, I didn't hear Homer today, so I'm not familiar with what his conversation was regarding. Dre Day said, I don't think they would show it because the tickets was $50. Well, that's what T-Pain said. He said, man, it costs $50 to get in this event. Gangs ain't coming. He said, they ain't got enough money, but you will be surprised, T-Pain, on how many brothers who do got a little money, who knows, because of the lifestyle he's living, I got to go here deep. So I'm going to pay for all y'all to get in. I'm going to bring my shooters with me, right? And so you end up with a standoff. Go ahead, brother.
I was just gonna say though, like you think about it though, there's some point to that. There's some realness to that. Like active bangers ain't really having no money. You can't be at war and get money at the same time. You
Yeah, but it
can't
be
be nowhere. You Milwaukee is too small. You ain't finna be no active gang banger is what I'm saying. Like here now, it really ain't no gang bangers. These niggas just wild. They ain't cliques.
right.
They ain't really gangs no more. But I'm just thinking like back in the day, like all the gang bangers, they they was true to the set, right? They was true to the set. Put the set first and themselves second. But all the niggas that was with the set that was having money put themselves first in the set second. You know what I'm saying?
I could
The
say
niggas that was having money wasn't really out there banging.
I think it's a little bit different in my neighborhood because if you had money and you knew you couldn't stand alone because of your status, they did reach back and take some of the, if you was really about that life, hey man, you come with me, I got you. So we did. He would say, I got all y'all, but your job was basically security for him. You see what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, he paid. We've gone in clubs where
Well, then now you ain't gang banging. Now you doing something different.
Well, the dudes who he brought as frontline soldiers.
I'm talking about yeah, that's what I'm saying. They ain't gang banging so much no more. They in the gang, but they ain't banging. They ain't active bangers. Bangers is riding on each other. I'm finna get out here and go.
Bosses go hire killers. Bosses
now
go hire.
Now they got a job. Now you talking about some brothers with jobs in the hood who got a responsibility.
Bosses go and hire killers to protect them. They go get the dudes who's putting in work to say, you're gonna be at all the events because you're gonna be with me, and you bring your soldiers because we gotta be deep. So
now they ain't on the set. They working.
That night they ain't on the set. They working every other day. That's how you earn your right to be there. Because you put in work.
All right. Whatever you say, my brother. I'm just
saying. It ain't about whatever I say. I'm just saying it's
it is about whatever you say.
No, that's my perspective. You seen one thing with your partners. I'm saying I seen
brothers. I know your partners. I know the brothers that was with you and over you.
But you don't know everybody who was with me, though. I know brothers who had money.
I said over you.
Right. You don't know them all, though.
The older homies.
You don't know them all. But I can tell you some of those brothers would grab us and say, y'all want to go out? Yeah. Okay.
I got y'all. I know which one of the older brothers was banging and which ones wasn't. And that was one of the reasons why. I'm just talking about what I saw. It ain't just about my homies.
I'm talking about what I saw. I'm talking about what I saw. So what's the difference?
I know. That's what I'm saying. But all I'm saying is this. All I'm saying is this: active gang bangers ain't having money, man.
All right, Orlando, you trying to pitch in here?
I am.
Okay.
A lot of niggas ain't never got no lawyers and shit.
Go ahead, Orlando, because you keep cutting.
I would just say this: the open kind of air, like street festival, is becoming more and more difficult to have. I would just say it that way. State fairgrounds have a little bit more, kind of a controlled environment. With the open air parks and, festivals, it's becoming more and more difficult. I mean, from all the people that want to drive cars into, clouds of people, it's just becoming more difficult, to be honest, man. It's just becoming hard to have a park festival or a, church. It's just becoming more difficult to have.
He pointed out Greek Fest because they moved Greek Fest to, I guess, the Summerfest ground. And he was saying, well, Greek Fest is for those Greeks who was cutting people's heads off and raping people. I'm like, my understanding of Greek Fest that was relocated from up here is because what happened? A big ass fight. A big ass fight.
I'm just saying the street festival park event.
Right. No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, it's tough. It's hard. It's like a house party. Who the fuck has a house party? I'm not going to no house party today. Like, you can't do that like that unless man, we just talked about clubs, man. Clubs where it's professional. The security gets killed. What are we talking about? Yeah. Ace says Milwaukee black community has a history of culture of violence. Why? I do not know. He says bosses do hire killers for security. Look at Big U in the rolling 60s. That's Ace Cooley in the chat room. Kerry Walker Jones said he has had several concerts at the Eagles Club without a problem. Who goes to the Eagles Club though?
Hey,
Eagles
and the only reason them niggas take them jobs to be motherfucking securities because they ain't having no money. I'm not finna put my life on the line for another nigga if I'm having money.
You still get to go though. You there. You didn't have the $50 to get in.
What I said was active gangbangers ain't having money.
Okay. What's up with the man versus the gorilla thing?
Man, stop. We were talking about this today in the barbershop. Why cats? This is what I believe. I'm seeing NFL players talking slick. I think we have a discrepancy here between a monkey and a gorilla. Monkey is we range in what a monkey is and what a gorilla is, and then we jump to the whole thing of a silverback. I'm like, man, I don't know what cats is really thinking. If let's define what a monkey or a gorilla is. You want to mess with the average little tree monkey that's less than 3 feet? Oh, okay, yeah. But you talk about a silverback? Man, stop it, bro. The skeleton is not even your strong 300 men or 100 men are not even going to pierce the jaw of a man. Stop it, of a gorilla. The bones. If we got a debate, should men wrestle women in wrestling? You think a man should wrestle a dog?
Well, hold on. We said 100 men, 100 men versus one gorilla. Ewoks fuck with me in the chat room. He said, I said no gorilla shit, Kev. I watched so many memes, and the shit's actually funny when they show that you the last dude who's leaving the fight. I believe 100 men could kill a gorilla. I believe that. I believe if it's 100 of us, because first of all, one of our advantages is our cerebral cortex, our frontal lobe, if you will. I believe somebody's going to pick up a rock or a stick. Ain't no way somebody going to say, ain't no rules. Ain't no rules. I believe 100 dudes, somebody going to sneak a knife, something. Somebody going to have a little 25. I just don't believe a gorilla would just mow his way through 100 men. I really don't. I feel like you underestimating men. How have we survived? How have we existed on top of the food chain this long?
Weapons in our mind. Okay. Weapons and being cunning. We had weapons.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we're gonna win, because after the first 50 dudes get killed, somebody gonna be smart enough to say, "Man, I'm finna go get me a stick or something. I'm not finna run up on this monkey like that." And I just watched him. I just think it's funny. I think it's funny.
Like unarmed 100 men. I'm like, and then everybody want to kind of toss in. Somebody gonna have a shirt, or I'm like, I'm trying to be as serious as I can. Like, okay, because now we adding in, accessories. But if it's just you, a 100 men, a model, man, the skeleton of a gorilla, of a silverback gorilla, is stronger than their biting force alone. The biting force of a gorilla,
but they don't have stamina. They don't have stamina, and they're
okay.
And if you telling me 30 big 300-pound Brody super strong brothers jump on this gorilla all at the same time, he gonna I believe he suffers some damage. Somebody gonna poke him in his eyes. His nuts is hanging. It ain't like he got on draws. Somebody gonna kick him in his ass. Like I feel like he at a disadvantage, man. That's all.
You making some good points. That somebody gonna find a soft area to pierce, and that's gonna cause some discomfort in the gorilla, not monkey. And so show some weaknesses. I just don't. I saw a silverback standing up the other day, man. The arms are like 8 feet long, bro. The fingernails are like claws. I'm like,
have you ever been jumped before?
Say again.
Have you ever been jumped before?
Unfortunately, I would have to be on the side of yes.
Okay, so if you ever been jumped by more than 3-4 people, which I have, you're getting hit from every direction, right? I may have been stronger than 4 out of them 5, but for me to turn in a circle and continuously keep fighting, first of all, fighting is heavy cardio. Most fights, your best street fight, you probably think it was an hour. It was probably just 3 minutes. It takes a lot of oxygen to fight. I mean, just so I believe that gorilla will eventually be worn down. And if we're coming in waves, that second 50 gonna catch the tire gorilla. I'm just trying to give us a fighting chance. That's all.
My barber said today he went to the county zoo when Samson was there. He said he remembers Samson taking a tire, bro, and stretching that thing like a rubber band.
Orlando, you know, one fact about Samson is that at one point in his life he was severely overweight. They had overfed him. Like he was really out of shape badly. You can go read his life story. He was at one point he was almost 500 pounds, and they said they had to put him on a different diet because he couldn't really move. He was fat, and he was just, you know, I get it, you're right. He's a monkey. I mean, he's a silverback. He's strong. Ewok said, you said us, that means you gonna participate. Nah, my gorilla fighting day's been over, bro. I'm gonna be like, y'all go ahead. If I can't take my pistol, I ain't going. I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna hit that gorilla with some funk. I'm not gonna be jumping out there talking about, let's go. Hell no, I know my ass to be the first one to die. Earl Henny said that he said the gorilla is gay. Why is the gorilla gay, Earl? How's it? Are monkeys? I thought they was more bisexual because there is some, you know, allegations of monkeys, but they're also carnivorous to some degree. I watched a documentary on National Geographic where if they catch a monkey or another ape out of bounds in their territory, they would kill them and eat them. So he said, ain't nobody gonna get killed because ain't no black person dumb enough to run up on a gorilla. It's the dumbest thing in the world, but it's fucking hilarious. She said years ago, 100-pound black woman fought off a gorilla to get her son back. Hey, there we go. Don't underestimate humans, man. Don't underestimate humans. It's 9:42 with all interest in trying to get us out of here early tonight, man. We're gonna shut it down because we will be back Wednesday. Kamar, you got something going this week, or it's just House of Vitality as usual?
House of Vitality all week.
Okay.
Pull up. We got the Real OG shirts. I got the new ones. I got some for Mother's Day, the pink and white ones. Real OGs. Our mama's was our first.
You sell them at your spot, right? You have to, so people come to
at the store, out the van, wherever you catch me.
Okay, hit that man up with one of them t-shirts, man.
Or you could go to the classic shop right across the street right across the hall from the store.
There we go. I can't wait. We got something special for this Outlaw apparel coming. Redesigns on some things. It's beautiful, man. It's gonna be lovely, and everybody will have access to it. Especially if you've been on the show, if you're a faithful supporter of the show, I'm gonna make sure people get their hands on stuff so we can support. And I gotta I need a big boy OG shirt though, man. I don't know if you got them big fat dude sizes. I need a big pun size. Like I need to give me you mute.
I got it. The biggest I got it right now is a 3X, but I got a homie who just told me he need a 5X. So I'm gonna put another order in for some big sizes.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna tell you how many X's I need, and I would hope you would keep it confidential. That's gonna be I'm like, hey, come on, man. We need some extra X's up in here, man, so I can represent. Dion said, great show. He said, why didn't you try to sell me one? Dion, he's talking to you, Kamar, because he said he had seen you. He said you didn't try to sell him no OG shirt. That's Dion.
Yeah, I pointed them out to you. They was right there on the thing, on the cooler right there, big ass mannequin with a shirt on that said Real OG. But you know where I'm at, Dion, man. You know you're always welcome. Just pull on up.
Right.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, man. It's like ain't like he out. You can still get, because Dion, you're gonna need some extra X's too. So we got to put our order in custom, right? we ain't vegans like Kamar. We gonna need some X's in our situation.
Hey, these motherfuckers been going fast. These motherfuckers been going fast too, man. I'm already on my second.
And you was on a what's the name of the podcast you was on?
Let's Eat Plants.
Okay. I was trying to find that.
My young homie Kadeem Frazier. And then Kev, I wanted to talk to you too, because he told me to find some dope people I thought would be some good interview on. So okay. I'm gonna send you his number, or I'm gonna send him your number so he could call you.
That's what's up, man. I ain't turning nothing down but my
I
collar.
figure y'all would be a dope thing because he just started doing podcasts, but he do also do on the street interviews and shit.
Mhm.
Once you look him up, you'll see the type of stuff he do. I be trying to tag him on the things, but yeah, he cool, man. He cool, young brother.
No, I seen it. I was listening. I was listening in pieces because I was working, and I just was like, okay, I want to make sure as you do an interview, I want people to know how to find and be able to hear you, hear what y'all talking about. So Orlando, I don't even know. Sometimes you put up stuff about the Republican Party in Wisconsin, and I don't be knowing what you're talking about. But are you got any events? You going to any state fairs in the suburbs, smiling with a cowboy hat on? I'm fucking with you.
I'm getting ready for Garfield Day.
Okay.
But we do have the Wisconsin Republican State Convention in about 2 weeks, man. Happy Mother's Day coming up. Kamara got to come check you out because, like I said, I'm probably about 80% vegan, so I definitely got to come get some food. I don't know if you do any cooking, but I got to come. I'm trying to find some alternatives. And Kev, once again, to you and Dion, I am ex behind you, brother. So I'm in the same group, but I am trying to work on it. And shout out to you, Kev. Another great show.
Hey, appreciate that. I owe you an Outlaw shirt anyway, so you on GP because I owe you one still. So we're gonna get that business straight. Hey man, listen, shout out to James Causey, man. Y'all don't really know how much I appreciated him coming in because it just gave validity to a lot of the things we talk about. And just by the fact that he's in the position he's in, but there was a total connection there. We were of the same mind a little bit, and we have a lot in common, obviously, but it just goes to show you how valid our messages are on here, and the conversations that we have are not just like disposable, right? Like this is not add water. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of depth in what we do. Like my brother says, we talk that talk and we walk that walk. The main thing being is that what I usually ask when it comes to someone being on our show is that they're not all talk, right? And like, so you be a man of action. If you come on here, I don't care what it is that you say you do, be true to it. And so, you have to be a person that's solution based and a person that's very, very mentally flexible, intellectually flexible, because you cannot jump to conclusions. You have to get the whole story before you react, right? Like, so for a lot of us, because of what we've gone through in this country, it's very easy to get us going. And a lot of times you can send us off, as we call it, and tell us the wrong things or tell us something inaccurate. And here we go. And then when it all comes out, it's like, damn, I fucked up. I fucked my life up. So I would hope that anybody who listens to our show or supports our show or shares the post like I asked is a person that's out here in their community trying to be the change that they want to see, as opposed to just always talking shit. Because if you become that type of individual, your criticism of the community outweighs your contribution. That not only makes you useless, but it also makes you a coon. I will see y'all Wednesday, man. Peace and love. Y'all keep y'all head on the swivel, baby. Here we go. Peace. Y'all, man. Peace and love to the Outlaw family, man.